Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Digital Caveman Presents Marvel Monday. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman, and today I will be presenting you with the Hasbro Pulse exclusive, made-to-order Marvel Legends series, Dragon Man. Let's get into it! Let's start things off with a look at the packaging. And here on the top, it says Marvel. And then we have some artwork of Fantastic Four, which I think is reminiscent of the packaging of the Toy Biz Fantastic Four line that the Toy Biz Dragon Man, the only other Dragon Man figure, was in. So here some of that artwork carries down from the top. We've got Marvel. We've got that Fantastic Four logo banner that, again, I think is reminiscent of that original Dragon Man packaging. It's got nice Fantastic Four logo in the background behind him. And he's in an action pose there, which I'm guessing is practical photography, but maybe digital renders. And again, Fantastic Four, this logo, again, I think it throws back to that original Dragon Man figure by Toy Biz Dragon Man. Warning, don't stick things in your pie hole that do not belong there. Hasbro print on the bottom. Warning, attention, Achtung, don't stick things in any other language pie hole that do not belong there. Don't give it to babies. Includes figure in 9 pieces. There's a barcode. Small, fine, legalese print, made in China print. Symbols I'm not going to learn. Recycled and that other thing. So on this side, Marvel Fantastic Four Dragon Man. And again, goes back to that original Toy Biz packaging, I think. It's been a long time since I've seen that. Marvel Fantastic Four Dragon Man. Again, same as the other side. And here on the back, it's a little bit different. Marvel Legends series, Fantastic Four. And then there's that artwork from the top of the packaging. Dragon Man with posable wings and tail. And there it is again in some other languages. And then there he is with his spread out wings, and I'm guessing that's a digital render as well as this. And he is with his wings not quite so extended, and it tells you he stands 10 inches tall. And then, let's see. Designed as a superpowered android, Dragon Man was imbued with life to battle the Fantastic Four until he broke free of his creator's control. And there it is. Attention! Don't stick things in your French pie hole that do not belong there. Marvel print, small fine legalese, made in China print, and Hasbro print. That, my friends, does it. For a look at the packaging, let's take a look at the figure and his large accessories. And it's actually a pretty good bit of accessories. But let's start off with some of the largest stuff, which are the wings. And wow, I mean, this is pretty large wing. It matches what I remember of Dragon Man. Not that I remember a whole lot about Dragon Man from the comics. And it's got some paint apps on the inside of the wings here, which actually, under the lights, I can see is like two-toned, and it fades a little bit right in here. But you can see it's darker up here, and then it's lighter down here toward the edges. So very nice. Lots of molded detail in there. Nice leathery look to the wings, and it's got nice molded details for the joints. Got a paint app here for the claw, and some scale details in here. And then on this side, not so much with the paint apps and stuff, but you can still see the holes and the nice textured detail in there, and more of the scales here on the wing. It's got a hinge right here, and we'll take a look at how that works more when we get it plugged into the figure, which I've decided to try to do here on screen. Just depends on how much I have to heat it up, or if I have to heat it up to get it in there. This wing's the opposite side, but pretty much more of the same. And I forgot to say anything about this, you know, part right here. So very, very cool looking. Lots of vein details in there. So that's cool. He also comes with another set of wings, which we'll take a look at now, which are more of the folded up. He's not trying to fly around stuff. And I noticed that, you know, it's missing the paint apps here on the inside. So I don't know if this is maybe supposed to be like an earlier version or a later version of it where he doesn't necessarily have the colors in it. Because I know I've read the entire run of Volume 1 of Fantastic Four. So, you know, I'm somewhat familiar with his appearances in there. Just I don't recall some of the details of it. But just like the other wing, lots of textured details in here, some veins going on, scales, hinge, paint app for the claw here. So, and then, you know, pretty much the same thing on the other side. So very cool. And I think it's cool that they, you know, included 2 sets of wings with it. So when you open this box up, there's actually 3 trays, one with the action figure with like this stuff in it as well, and then a tray for 1 set of wings and a tray for another set of wings. But everything I said about, you know, the opposite side wing for this holds true for this as well. Same level of detail sculpted in, and so just, you know, cool pieces. So next up, let's take a look at his extra set of hands, which are fists. And again, we've got that scaling detail. We've got like some skin detail in there too. Just very, very cool. And then we've got, you know, a paint app there for his thumbnail. And then he's on an in and out hinge here. And I can't tell if that's supposed to be like detents or a molded detail there in the hinge. It must be a molded detail. Yeah. So that's neat. Not something you often see in Marvel Legends. And then here's the other fist, which is pretty much the same, just the opposite side. So nice that he comes with a set of fists, as well as some grappling hands, I guess. And then here we have his book, which is the Future Foundation book. And then that looks like runes or something. Or maybe they just didn't feel like putting any detail in it, so they could use this mold for the book over and over and just change this out with some paint. Because I do believe this was also the Darkhold. No, they may have changed the pages here. And it's got a little indentation here, so maybe that's where he holds it, but it would be upside down if that were the case. So there's some scribbly scrabbly on there, so not words that you could actually make heads or tails of. And I really think it does, the book does go this way. This looks like the way that that graph would go. So this appears to be upside down. So good job on that, Hasbro. And then the only accessory that we will need handy dandy tweezers for are his glasses. Look to be made out of a clear plastic, and then it's got those black paint apps on it for the frames. And we'll see how that works with the figure here in a moment. But a cool little addition, I think. I don't remember him wearing glasses, but again, that could be a later thing. Like the book says Future Foundation on it, so it could be something to do with that. Here is his tail, which has a port in it right there, and it's got a half dumbbell or ball joint, whatever you want to call it, where this plugs in. And it does seem to have a bit of a shimmery finish to it, and the rest of the figure doesn't necessarily, well, I'll say it doesn't, it kind of does look like he has a little bit of that. So it could be some type of iridescent top coat on the figure, and you can see it's got some holes in it because there's a bendy wire in here, and it does give you some flex and movement, although it's not much because this piece is so thick. And you know, I don't know if many of you folks have watched my reviews before, but I'm not the biggest fan of bendy wire stuff because it does tend to, the materials of it tend to deteriorate over time, at least the ones I'm familiar with. So let's raise the camera up a little bit so we can take a look at this big honking dude. And I have to say, like right off, there's like some washes and stuff paint wise going on. The majority of this guy looks like he's just, you know, molded in the proper color. But it does look like there's some shading going on here and, you know, out from there just to make these details pop a little bit. And the same thing with, like, there's a wash going on here. I guess it's a wash. It could be inkjet, you know, what they're using to print the faces with now. But let's take a look at those eyes behind the pupils, and the pupils themselves, I mean, wow, they just stand right out. And lots, you know, it's got some veiny details going on there in the head. There's the ports on the back for the wings, and then the dumbbell, half dumbbell or ball joint for the tail. And you know, this, again, this may be the material that it's made out of, but it could also be like a translucent top coat on it just to kind of give a shimmer to his scales. But I mean, there's a ton of scale molded detail in this, and just lots of muscles going on here, and then the arms too, very, you know, veiny, like he's been lifting some weights or something. We've got these parts sticking out, paint apps for all the fingernails, and again, like the level of detail in the hands is the same as the fist. You know, you got some skin detail going on as well as the scales. His shorty shorts going on, which I think is molded. Nope, I could be wrong. That might be a paint app. I'm not sure what's the paint app and what's not. It seems like this on the top of the legs would be the paint app, seeing as how all of this, the upper thigh portion, would be this color. But they've gotten me in the past with that. So, and then, well, we'll get to that in a minute. And then he's got some paint for his toenails as well. And again, it's like the scales have that shimmery look. And again, it could be just shiny plastic, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So before we get to adding the accessories to this guy, let's take a look at his articulation. Now, he does have a ball and hinge here at the neck, but that's about as far up as I can get him to look. Down, it's a little better because of that ball and hinge. He does have some chicken neck. He's got some waggle, and I will say the head is made out of a slightly softer plastic. He can do the full exorcist. And before we finish up with the head, the jaw is hinged, so the mouth does open up that far, although that looks a little weird opening that far. But just to take a look at it, you know, it looks like several pieces in there, like the teeth and the tongue all appear to be separate pieces. It would be cool if the tongue, oh, it is, the tongue really is articulated. Look at that. I did not realize that. That is cool. And then so we've got some paint going on in there, so that's cool. find out something new every day. At the shoulders, butterfly joints go back that far, go forward that far, so that's pretty cool. There's some detents in the shoulder, and it will rotate full 360 degrees, and it's pretty smooth other than like where the detents are. Now this part is really, really smooth. It moves very smoothly. So you can get approximately a 90-degree bend there. There's a cut here at the upper bicep, and it rotates around 360 degrees. Again, it's very, very smooth. And the elbows are a little tight. I did not heat them up, and maybe I should have, but they worked fine before when I was just making sure everything was loose, and now of course it doesn't want to. And now his hands popped out. Let's try the other elbow. So the elbows do not move smooth as butter. They are difficult, and I'm gonna, dang it. So I'm gonna have to heat those up in a bit, but he gets that much bend out of his elbows. Both hands on an in and out hinge, so they in and out, rotate 360 degrees. And just to show you, you know, in and out on this side too. And it does have a pretty wide range of motion there, so that's a little surprising, at least to me. Now he's got a cut here where the chest and the abdomen meet, so he gets all kinds of hula in there. Woo. He does get a 360 degree rotation there. He can lean left and right. It allows him to lean back that far. Let's put that arm down out of the way. So back that far, forward that far. So that's pretty good. Nothing at the waist, unfortunately. No pull down at the hips, unfortunately. He can give you that much of the splits, which is actually pretty good for Marvel Legends. He kicks forward that far. Back, not hardly anything at all because his dragon butt gets in the way. Cut here at the upper thigh for a full 360 degree rotation. Double hinged, pinless knee, and I'm fixing to have the same problem I had with the elbow, which I didn't mention is double hinged and pinless, by the way. So, okay. Not as much issue there. So you get that much bend out of the knee. So that's, you know, really good range of motion there, especially for such a big dude. And I'm so happy that they gave him double hinged pinned elbows instead of doing like they do with most of the like deluxe or larger figures, or Build-A-Figures even, you know, they give them single hinge and swivels there, so that's good. At the ankle, tilts down that far, and these ankles, you can feel the detents in them, but they still move pretty smooth up that far. And then he does have toe tilt, although he doesn't have a lot of it. It goes up that far, and well, I say he doesn't have a lot. It goes down a lot further than it goes up, which is unfortunate. So let's take a look at how these glasses work. I haven't tried them before, so I'm assuming they just kind of clip on there, but they don't really want to. No. So they don't really clip on, they just kind of sit there and will easily fall off. So I don't recommend displaying him with it. And as far as him holding the book, it kind of sits there. He can't really grip it unless maybe you put it between his fingers like that. And so there's that. That works okay, I suppose. So let's see, we'll put one of the collapsed down wings in, and it scares me to do that because those clips look like, okay, you won't get it back out. That's how they look to me. They're hard. So hopefully that's not the case. So there's one wing in, and it actually went in pretty smoothly. No issues. And let's see how the other one does. Just clips in the same, and you can see. So there's how that looks. I mean, I know it looks weird because I have two different wings on it, but you know, I'm just trying to show that, you know, how both wings kind of look. So this one sits up higher, this one sits out wider because of the, you know, how they are. Let's see if the tail goes in as easily. And not too bad. So you get all kind of rotation there with it. It does rotate. And then, of course, you know, you got the bendy in it too. Not the greatest. But like I said before, you know, you don't get much out of that because it's pretty thick. Let's see. Okay, that snapped out actually pretty easily. No damage. I don't see any white stress marks from the plastic. I'm gonna have to work on this tail a little bit because it is not doing what I want it to do. But there you have it, my friends. And he's probably there. Okay. He's kind of balanced on his, he's sitting on his tail, but it's on the very back of the screen. So there is that. So again, I'm going to have to mess around with the tail a little bit just to kind of get him balanced. But there you have it, my friends. There's a look at the figure and his accessories. It's time for my favorite part of a review, comparisons. And here we have the Marvel Legends series Deluxe Odin with the Marvel Legends series Deluxe Blob and the made-to-order Hasbro Pulse exclusive Marvel Legends series Dragon Man. Here we have the Marvel Legends series Fantastic Four retro carded Mr. Fantastic, the Marvel Legends series Fantastic Four retro carded Sue Storm or Sue Richards, the Marvel Legends series Fantastic Four retro carded Human Torch, the Marvel Legends series Fantastic Four retro carded The Thing, and the Hasbro Pulse exclusive made-to-order Marvel Legends series, Dragon Man. For our last set of comparisons, all the way in the back here we have the Hasbro Pulse exclusive made-to-order Marvel Legends series, Dragon Man, with from the Marvel Legends series making his cameo appearance, Stan the Man Lee. From G.I. Joe Classified series, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Regal variant Cobra Commander. From Star Wars The Black series, the Archive Edition 501st Legion Clone Trooper. And for a 7-inch scale comparison, from the Masters of the Universe Masterverse line, the 40th Anniversary He-Man. For final thoughts on the Hasbro Pulse exclusive made-to-order Marvel Legends series Dragon Man, I have to say, overall, I like this figure. I like the look of it. But there are some caveats to that. The first being, he does have a ball and hinge in the neck for the head, although, and I've discussed this with my friend Lone Dragon, you know, that piece of articulation, I don't know if it's just there for piece count or whatever, but it's pretty useless where it is. And that's not to say if they'd have put a dumbbell in there, it would have made it better. I don't think it would. Some of it has to do with the head size, but I think my biggest issue is that they didn't make where it hinged back far enough for his head to tilt properly in a flight situation. So there's that one for me. The other really big issue that I have with this figure is the tail. And I mean, you guys know I'm not the biggest bendy wire stuff fan. Now, bendy wire in soft goods and stuff, you know, it's perfectly fine. I love it there, but like the wire coated with plastic and it's supposed to be posable, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of that. Over time, that type of plastic or rubber degrades. The more you move it around, it can break. So, not the biggest fan of that. And this tail, you know, really shows that with a lot of rubber or plastic, whatever the whatever it's made out of, with that wire in the middle of it, it's just not very posable at all. And I don't know, maybe if I heat it up, it would, you know, I could get it in a better pose than what this is. But this is pretty much it out of the box. When you put the tail on, this is pretty much the extent of the range of motion you can get out of it. And you do have to put the tail on it, because it's, even before you put the wings on it, it feels like it's very back heavy and it doesn't want to stand up. But once you put the wings on it, it's even much more back heavy or top heavy, and you have to have the tail on it to get him in the standing position. At least that's my experience with it. The little bit of deco that's on this guy, which would be the eyes, the wash on the head, the claws on the hands and the feet, and his trunks. Oh, and the claw pieces on the wingtips. And the inside of the alternate, the flying wings, where they have the paint app in between the joint pieces. The bone pieces, I guess. Well, it's not bone because he's an android. But the range of motion is pretty good, except for, you know, that neck and head. Mostly the neck more than the head. So, you know, that's kind of limited. And the jaw is articulated. I do like that. And the tongue is articulated as well. So that's kind of a cool little feature there. And you can make him, you know, screaming or roaring, I guess, is more what Dragon Man would do. And, you know, other than that, it's highly detailed in the sculpt, which isn't always unusual. Sometimes it's unusual for Marvel Legends. I mean, they do like to take those plain bodies and just kind of paint them up and not put a lot of sculpted detail into them sometimes. And then there's the finish to it. Now, I don't know if it's the plastic or if it's like a clear coat that they put over the figure. But, you know, the scales are quite pearlescent looking. And as I'm seeing it rotate in the light, it looks more like it's some kind of pearlescent paint app put just where the scales are, but I could be wrong on that. But I think it looks really neat. And again, highly detailed in the sculpt on this. I can see them reusing some of this, maybe even most of this, to give us a deluxe Abomination, or hopefully not a made-to-order Abomination. But with a little bit of retooling, yeah, I can see them reusing this body as Emil Blonsky. And that would be cool, because, you know, I think there's a lot of features on here that would kind of cross over to that. But you may not feel the same. Your mileage may vary. But, and, you know, the accessories for this one, the book and the glasses, I don't recall that being Dragon Man's thing. And so it may be something that happens later that I'm not familiar with, like the Future Foundation stuff, since that's what the book says on his Future Foundation. So that may be something that happens later that I'm just not familiar with for this character. And that's okay. You know, it's nice that they included those bits for that iteration of the character, I guess. But, you know, for me, he's just going to be straight up Dragon Man, and no book, no glasses. So he does have some fists as well, and of course the flight wings, which, if I can figure out how to get this guy posed right and hanging when I get my Marvel Legends display back up, maybe I can get him in a flight pose. But also that tail, the limited range of movement on the tail adds some difficulty to that as well. So, I don't know. This one's a little bit of a mixed bag, especially at the price that it is. I can see why they made this guy made to order figure. And, you know, I'm thinking about ordering the made-to-order Mephisto. But after getting hands-on with this one, I don't know if I really want to spend that much on it. I don't know. It's something I'm just going to have to think about a little more. As of the time of this recording, I have a little bit of time left to think about that. I am looking forward to the made-to-order Sentinel, X-Men 97 Sentinel, and I think, you know, I feel like the look of that one, at least from the promo pics, is, yeah, it's a little cartoony, but also it kind of fits in that comic book aesthetic as well. But we'll see when we actually get our hands on that figure. Unless I cancel it, which I'm not really planning on doing. But we'll just have to see. I don't know. After when I think about this one more and more, I don't know if this made-to-order line is going to last. But it probably will, because they're going to make the selections of characters that either they haven't done before, or they didn't do right, or just severely in need of an update. I could really see them, if they don't do a Fin Fang Foom HasLab, I could really see a Fin Fang Foom the size, you know, the X-Men 97 Sentinel. I could see that one being a made-to-order figure. But that's for future me to worry about. Present me is still debating Mephisto. And I don't know, trying to figure out what to do with this Dragon Man tail. I don't know. So it's a mixed bag. I'm not sorry I bought it. I did many years ago have that Toy Biz Fantastic Four line Dragon Man in my hands in the store, and at the time I really didn't know that much about him, and there was another figure I wanted more, so you know how that goes. And then for many years after that, kicking myself in the butt, why didn't I get Dragon Man? But anyway, so I finally have a Marvel Legends Dragon Man, so there's that. Well, that does it for the review. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. If you are interested in supporting my channel further, I am now offering memberships at various tiers. Click the join button on my YouTube page, or check this video's description for the link and see if any membership offers are right for you, but only if you are in a position to do so. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you would like to see more content or just help the channel grow, or both. That's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's a wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.